2 years ago, I made a video about what at the time was a common talking point that rampant shoplifting was leading corporations like Home Depot, Target, and Walgreens to shut down their stores in places like the lawless wasteland that is the San Francisco Bay Area, which just so happens to be the dystopian Thunderdome that I call home. My dystopian Thunderhome. These claims were bolstered by the corporation's trade group, the National Retail Federation, which released a report that said organized shoplifting accounted for nearly $50 billion in loss. My thesis at the time was that, first of all, no one should be worrying themselves over other people shoplifting from big box stores. These stores game our real estate markets and our taxation systems to extract as much money from a community as they can while destroying local businesses and paying employees so little that they're often forced to go on public assistance just to be able to eat. And second of all, the retailers were clearly lying. Walgreens, for instance, was closing stores for the same reason that they had been closing them for years, because they'd opened way too many right across the street from each other, and they were having trouble finding the money to continue paying their new CEO $1.5 million per year salary, with a $25 million signing bonus, an annual bonus of up to 200% her earnings, and an additional $11 million in stock options each year, relocation costs, benefits, and use of the corporate jet for up to 50 hours each year. Oh, also, they had just settled a lawsuit forcing them to repay their employees $4.5 million in stolen wages, and also they gave $110 million to that scam artist Elizabeth Holmes, among other things. So yeah, not shoplifting. That video was met with a lot of hate, with many commenters calling me a psycho who can't see what is obvious to everyone else who has seen those hundreds of hours of shaky cell phone footage showing roving bands of thieves ransacking these poor storefronts and driving them out of business. Anyway, since then, it seemed like every few months, a new study or a new internal leak would drop, revealing that I was right and the corporate bootlickers were wrong, which is very satisfying. And honestly, I deserve a medal for holding off on making a video bragging about it until now. The latest news is that last month, a Retail Dive investigation revealed that the National Retail Federation used bad data to come up with their bullshit headline that organized theft accounted for nearly half of their $94.5 billion in missing merchandise in 2021. As the New York Times revealed a few weeks ago, that seems to have led the National Retail Federation themselves to admit they were wrong, retracting that 2021 report and admitting that by nearly half, they actually meant about 5%. It was all a mirage, a very convenient mirage for retailers. In fact, the New York Times reported retail theft has been lower this year in most of the country than it was a few years ago, according to police data. Some exceptions, including New York City, exist, but in most major cities, shoplifting incidents have fallen 7% since 2019. You might be wondering, if I've been humbly remaining quiet about all of this for so long, why make a video now, weeks after the final nail has been solidly hammered into the organized theft coffin? Because this morning I woke up to the news that a brand new bullshit corporate excuse for their own malfeasance has dropped. Pizza Hut franchises in California lay off all delivery drivers ahead of minimum wage increase. Oh no, people are losing their jobs because the mean old Democrats of California are forcing mom and pop restaurants to pay their employees a living wage. Oh. That headline comes from my very own San Francisco Chronicle, but almost the exact same headline and article is also in the New York Post, Fox Business, USA Today, Business Insider, and of course, the Daily Mail. Are they all just plagiarizing each other? I don't think so. I think they're all just copying from the exact same press release, probably released from Yum Foods, the multinational conglomerate that owns Pizza Hut. Before I get into the details, let me just answer the question that you're all currently thinking. Yes, Pizza Hut still exists. And yes, it does suck ass now. Out of curiosity, I looked up my closest Pizza Hut on Yelp, and I found that it has 1.9 stars out of 5, and the top reviews say the pizza is disappointing, gross, or just not there. They couldn't get it. And this is interesting. This review says that they refused to deliver less than 2 miles away, and they hung up when the order was changed to pickup. That's interesting. I wonder if that is at all related to today's topic. So yes, next spring, a new California law will require the state's fast food companies to pay their workers a minimum of $20 an hour. Currently, the state's 500,000 fast food employees earn $3 less than comparable jobs in other industries, and 1 out of every 5 families with a fast food worker in it live below the poverty line. Whenever anyone talks about raising the minimum wage in any industry in any state in the United States, it is a statistical impossibility to avoid hearing someone complain that this is going to force businesses to fire employees or raise prices. And wouldn't an employee rather have $15 an hour instead of $0 an hour? And wouldn't you rather pay $3 for a hamburger instead of $4 for a hamburger? This argument is so not new that, I recently read The Grapes of Wrath, which is an absolute banger. And if you haven't read it, it will radicalize you. It was published in 1939, and it maps out all of the same problems we see today. Industry setting wages too low, knowing if one man won't accept 30 cents for a 50-cent job, a hungrier man will come along that will. Claiming that they can't afford to pay more while they live in luxury, firing, arresting, beating, and murdering the people who even discuss banding together to demand a living wage, paying scabs higher wages until the people who are striking are done away with, and then paying them even less, and on and on and on. The number of times I stopped reading Grapes of Wrath just to say, oh my God, it's still the same shit, is incredible. So, of course, the fast food industry fought hard against that new California law. It was originally supposed to be $22 an hour, and a government council would have had the ability to force companies to provide better working conditions for their employees. And a franchise restaurant's parent company would be on the hook for any violations. But the industry got a compromise. $20 an hour, no required improvements in working conditions, and only the franchise owner would be liable for violations, not Yum Foods. Yet still, they're not happy, and that's why we get press releases like this. Paying these employees a few extra dollars an hour, that's why all of the delivery drivers will be fired. But why only the delivery drivers? Why not lay off the people at the counter or the ones operating the pizza ovens? Or gosh, why not a pay cut for the executives, like those who are running the $36 to $80 million Pizza Hut franchisees like Pack Pizza, which owns dozens of restaurants and is part of a larger $7 billion corporation? Just kidding. That would obviously never happen, and we all know why. But why the drivers specifically? Why are they being let go? Well, unlike the cooks and the cashiers, the drivers have a large crowd of hungrier men standing behind them willing to take 30 cents for a 50-cent job. These are the people we call Okies. Gig workers. They work for companies like Grubhub and DoorDash and Uber Eats and other companies that, like the fast food industry, have lobbied for years to pay their employees, their independent contractors, less and less money for more and more work. They pay them so little that they were able to spend more than $200 million in 2020 to pass just one California proposition that would allow them to avoid treating their employees as employees and thus have to pay them a living wage. So, in fact, Pizza Hut's delivery drivers simply could never compete with this army of gig workers who will deliver Pizza Hut's shitty food without the need for Pizza Hut to spend money on things like cars or insurance or gas or, a guaranteed living wage. Those gig workers would never take a Pizza Hut franchisee owner to court in a class action lawsuit for failing to reimburse them for their miles driven, which is exactly what happened to the Pack Pizza franchise in 2015. I wonder if that case left them feeling some kind of way about delivery drivers. I wonder why none of those articles about Pack Pizza firing all of their drivers mentioned it. I wonder why our mainstream journalists can't practice basic critical thinking when looking at a press release, and why it is then left to the reader to be skeptical enough to seek out relevant background information and figure out whether or not a company has any reason to lie about their motivations for something like firing more than 1,200 low-wage employees. Oh, well, maybe in another 2 years, somebody will be able to puzzle this all out, figure out what's going on for me. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.